Hey, welcome to the channel, Gate to Babylon, the gate to everything. Greetings, I am Ellie. Welcome to the channel. Today we are replying to this video debate over hijab in Canada by the channel WION, I think WION or something like that. It's a decent big channel. It's 4.2 million subscribers. And it is a TV channel. It's an Indian TV channel, and we just want to reply to this video and talk about it. So let me just give you a little bit of context about the video. I advise to watch the video. I'll put a link in the description. Check the description. There's other things would be in the description. And it's very important to understand what they're saying first to fully understand what I'm saying, of course. But just let me give you a short description of the video, just a shortcut. And basically they talking about, from the title, of course, they're talking about hijab, in the past few days, actually a little bit week or so. In Canada, they're having the debate about hijab. Is it oppressing, or is it freedom, or stuff like that, the usual, those stuff. And this channel is just making a reply on that, making a comment. And there's a little bit of good things there. There's a little bit of better things than usually would be said. They know exactly what they're talking about. However, there's a lot of wrong things in the video, and and the things are basically they're saying the typical smart view on this. Smart, I mean, because it's not blindly stupid. So they're saying that the main premise is, the main premise, let's just get it there, just a shortcut. Of course, watch the video, it's short anyway, and then come back or watch it after finishing from this video. Don't forget to watch this video to the end. Of course, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, all that YouTube stuff. Let's get on with it. So the main premise is as follow. That some people do it because it is their choice, it is empowering that way, all that stuff, and they're saying that's good for you. But in the same time, that in some other areas, and they use the word location, that it depends on your location, it can be oppressing. And at the end, they do some. It's really Islamophobic a little bit, but I'll explain it to you. But in the end, they talk about, at the end of the video, what I mean is they talk about that the origin of hijab is oppressing women, and they had some few points that's really sounds a little bit like those feminist extremists that don't want to show themselves, so they don't use the exact same words they want to use, so they use a polite way of saying the same words they want to say. They want to be like really aggressive, but they don't, and they just throw those random excusing words, blaming man over all that stuff. There's a little bit of feeling of that there, and it's just stuff like that. And they say, like, the origin of hijab is oppressing, extra stuff like that. They acknowledge that it can be empowering, stuff like that, but they're saying location, and because it is an Indian channel, they keep saying Pakistan, for example. Yeah, the classic thing. So let's get onto it. So of course, watch the video first, but this is what I have to say, and then I'll explain what I have to say. It's not gonna be that long. So this is my reply to them. It is not just a personal decision. If you choose Islam and you are a woman, you either wear hijab or you don't be a Muslim, or just don't be a Muslim. A Muslim woman that regards herself as a follower of Islam has no choice in such matters after choosing Islam, except choosing Islam or not. Same with men. What God said, with evidence to it, we do, or you're not a Muslim. It is that simple. Thus, choosing not to wear hijab must not be even talked about. But Muslim knowledge and belief strength is declining. Not wearing a hijab as a woman is basically almost like leaving Islam and opposing God himself with arrogance. If you still believe to preserve yourself part of Islam, if you present yourself part of Islam, if you perceive yourself part of Islam, nation of Muhammad. Criticism of hijab is not criticism of Islam. It is an insult to Islam that must not be tolerated and requires a threat of war regardless of the outcomes if not taken back if there was a Muslim governing power, such as if the Ottoman Empire Sultan continued. For Muslim women, hijab is one of the fundamental, important core basics. You either do it or leave Islam. Full stop. So this is encompassing paragraph there for you for all the points. That's my reply to them, and it's not really an oppression or tool or whatever of that BS. It can be, but just wait a minute. I'll leave that to the end. Because there's misconceptions there. There's something wrong there, but it's a human mistake, not something part of Islam. But we get to that. Just 1 minute. First, let's talk about this one. And the thing is, when you talk about that a hijab can be oppression, can represent oppression, all that stuff, and criticizing hijab directly, especially without the context, and also bear in mind the propaganda that goes with this, especially the far right and all that stuff. It becomes, it becomes an attack on religious freedom, even from the perspective of liberalism, and it's almost a tyranny of a majority type of, if you use their own, liberal terms. Tyranny of majority is rejected even in Islam, but yeah, it becomes tyranny of a majority, especially when, in Canada, there's all the sort of problems and there's a lot of Muslim attack. And bear in mind, Canada does have a lot of people, but not really that much, like less than 1/10 of the population of the United States, 50-ish million. That's still a lot. It's like Iraq. Canada is one of the biggest countries in the world from land size. It doesn't have that many people. All the people in the south, north of the United States. Yeah, so when there's a lot of attacks just in the last couple years on Muslims, especially the last year, and you have that there, it has some politics to it regarding Canada itself on a separate, occasion, on a separate case, which is what this video is representing. It's about Canada precisely, but the way how they phrase it becomes a worldwide discussion. And they just use this as a study case, so to speak, for a worldwide discussion on this matter. And they seem to be the wording generally seems to be innocent. However, it's not. It's full of Islamophobia. So that's the problem. Because the thing, if you understand Islam properly, if you know the importance of hijab and how Islam works, these wordings and these things becomes an attack on Islam and on religious freedom and religious rights, an attack on religion, on a religious ideology. and it's not a normal criticism. Like, you can criticize, you can have a discussion, you know what I mean, like healthy discussion, but these type of wordings, these type of attacks are not a healthy discussion. This is not a discussion of, hey, explain to me what's the story about hijab, well, what's up with it. That's not what's happening here. There's an attack, a shield and a sword will follow, you know what I mean. So the thing is, they capitalize on that, and then they throw back, and some problem happens like that, and it's just a dirty trick, basically. Let's go back to this paragraph, the reply I have. Let us analyze it a little bit more. Let me see the time. Okay, not much. Still less than 10 minutes, so around 10 minutes, something like that. We can talk for a few minutes more. So the thing is, so the reason why I talked about the personal decision thing, because they talked about that, in the West or some areas, or on an individual basis, there's a lot of Muslims, they have, or Muslim women in particular, they wear hijab as a choice, and they wear hijab because they want to wear hijab, because they are religious, they want to follow Islam, probably as a follower of Islam should be, as a religious person, which is the majority of the Muslim world and the majority of Muslims. Even to this point, it is there's a decline there and there, but still there's a whole lot, and they are the majority. The thing is, there's a very important fundamental core basis in Islam. Not hijab is one of those, but this one is for men and women. Of course, there's a hijab for women, for men as well, but it's a bit different. In terms of a concept, but in terms of the action, men and women dressing is very much the same. The only difference is men don't cover, or not necessarily must cover their hair. However, women, they must do that. That's the only difference. Everything else about hijab, covering your body, is relatively the same. There's some minor stuff there and there, but depends on many things. But generally, it's the same, even culturally, even before Islam. Okay, if I keep talking like this video would take too long. So we need to be more precise. There's other stuff to talk about. If you want to talk about it, put it in the in the comments. I know it. I want to talk about it. Perhaps a second video, a follow up. But for now, let's leave those aside. Let's focus here. So next, so the thing about it, it's a decision thing is a bit different in Islam. You do have a freedom, but the thing is, you chose Islam, you follow Islam, or you don't choose Islam and don't follow Islam. There's no middle ground there in Islam. You either do what Islam told you to do as a follower of Islam, or you don't follow Islam in the get-go from the beginning. That's what I mean by you have no choice except either choosing Islam or not choosing Islam. If you choose Islam, you have no choice, no authority above Islam. That's what I mean. So when as a woman, you have chose Islam as your religion, as a follower of Islam, as a Muslim, as a believer of Islam, you have no choice on wearing hijab or not wearing hijab. You must wear hijab. Otherwise, it's a great sin. And it almost takes you out of Islam. It's about, let me put it in brackets, it's really, really, really hard. I understand that it's really hard to say to someone, a Muslim, when they are portraying themselves as a Muslim. In Islam, it's really hard. You can't do that. 99.9999% of the times you can't do that. It's really hard, almost impossible. unless they are open about it. They said it or something like that. But if not, so it's really hard. However, because of the politics that goes with it, and because we need to be clear, as I said, it almost takes you out of Islam. If you don't do it, you're almost not a Muslim. However, because of, as I said, the politics that goes with it, and we need to be clear. You either do it or you leave Islam. That's a thing. You're a Muslim, you do Muslim things. Not a Muslim, if you want to do Muslim things, whatever, your choice. You're not a Muslim. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But if you are a Muslim, you do Muslim things. Or at least recognize it as a sin. At least recognize it as a sin. And repent for it, and try to repent for it. You know what I mean? On the absolute minimum, you have to still recognize it as a sin. Because it is. Just take it as it is. Unless you're not a follower of Islam, then it doesn't matter. What's your problem? Who cares? So, however, I think that point is a bit clear. So let's get to the next point, which is about, what are we talking about in the beginning? About, that they're saying that it depends on the location. And for example, in Pakistan, it's a source or a method of oppression. And if it's a choice for you to not wear hijab, and it is empowering for you, it's good for you, yeah, good. But for others, it's not. Well, the thing is, this is very simple to decline such argument, because hijab is not about oppression, and that this is linked to the last statement in their video, that the origin of hijab is oppression. It's not. Full stop. Even historical evidence goes against that. It's very clear. The thing is, when it is a source of oppression, as I said, it can be. However, it shouldn't be. When it does, when it is, and sometimes it is in Pakistan, some areas, it happens. For sure. It is reality. But the thing is, the point, that is, happens when Islam is not implemented properly, or when implemented with misinformation, or there's something wrong to do with the people, not Islam. That's what I mean with that. Because Islam is not a culture, it goes above culture. It alters your culture. So you alter your culture to meet Islam. You don't alter Islam to meet your culture. Islam is a bigger, more important than culture, than nationality, than anything. Because it goes with God himself. So it has nothing to do with culture. So the thing is, that's to do with, that's one of the problems of not really that much organized secular Muslim world, because all countries of the Muslim world, and even the ones that are not secular, most of the countries are secular, and even the ones that are not technically secular, they're almost secular, and they're just 50-50 Muslim, not in terms of a constitution and as a government. So there's problems in that. There's even Muslims themselves, they have misinformation. There's a lot of Muslims don't know their religion. There's a mess of knowledge. There's gaps of knowledge. There's misconceptions even amongst Muslims. And there's a lot of wrong information going on, as well as extremists, as well as all sorts of problems. And the thing is, Islam has problems with extremists, and many Muslim rulers and other Muslim powers have fought extremists. And we have extremist problems even during Prophet Muhammad years, of the last couple of years. He had problems with extremists, and the first caliphate had problems with extremists. And Islam has problems with extremists from the get-go. So it has to do with extremists. If Prophet Muhammad warned about 3 groups, and one of them are extremists, you do what Prophet Muhammad did, and you follow the example of Prophet Muhammad, and the time after his passing, after his death, till the assassination of Ali, so during the first caliphate, the Rashidun Caliphate, and the 4 guided caliphs, the proper caliphs, whom they are the only actual caliphs. All the other ones are sultans and kings. They're not really a caliph. That's a discussion for another video. So, when you check the historical reality during Prophet Muhammad's time, especially over the last couple of years, and the caliphs, the 4 first caliphs, or the only caliphs, the first government, Muslim government, if you check the reality within and outside, and women's stuff in terms of this video, in terms of the hijab, whether it's a source of oppression or not, you will find it very clear that it is not a source of oppression. When it is, that's when Islam is implemented in the wrong way, with misinformation or people faking or lying in the name of Islam. When there's a lot of imams whom are fake, and there's a lot of problems like that. Just like even in the real world, we have problems with fake gurus. There's a ton of fake guys on YouTube, selling courses and stuff. It's just really the same type of issue, but in a much greater magnitude. There's all sort of these type of problems. Also, this gets even worse when it gets mixed with politics. Although Islam, it is in nature from the get-go, from literally the first day, is political. However, I mean those, modern type of politics. So it gets even vaguer, and okay, I think it's clear. So that doesn't represent Islam. Muslims can do wrong things. That's why we have punishments when a Muslim does wrong thing. That's what jail's for. Like like even in the West, in the Constitution, if you steal, especially if it's like a big deal, or actually that rhymes nice. If you steal and it is a big deal, you go to jail, right? Are we gonna call that oppression now? You know what I mean? So I think that part is clear. So if a Muslim does a wrong thing, it's just a Muslim doing a wrong thing. If Islam says don't do that, it doesn't mean Muslim not gonna do it. You know what I mean? So that's why God records sins. Like, we're capable of doing sins. So yeah, that's the idea. So it's a Muslim wrongdoing, it's not Islam itself. In everything there's misconceptions and there's mess of knowledge, especially in the secular world, and Muslims are clinching to their Muslim belief. There's a lack of information. And this gets even worse when there's other people trying to fake it to meet their own agenda. And many other things like that. I'm trying to summarize stuff really quickly, but it's far more complicated than that, unfortunately. But all life are more complicated. So anyway, let's move on. So what else we need to talk about? So I hope it is clear. And let's wrap it up. So don't forget to subscribe, all this YouTube stuff. Comment below what do you think, and don't forget to spam them, just attack them, telling them these things I'm talking about, perhaps quoting me, the main points, and explain it to on their channel so other people hear it. So let's wrap it up. Get to Baba and get to everything. Peace out.